There we go.
So I just want to point out that we have a visitor today, Finnegan. My cat Finn. He's gonna add some commentary. We don't have a babysitter for him today, so he's
He
gonna
needs a
help.
babysitter.
He does. He's very needy. So
Holy crap.
well, that's what happens. He's a rescue. He's our adopted child, redheaded stepchild.
They have no souls.
Yes. Oh, Micah.
Redheads don't have souls.
Yes, they do. He's the most.
That's
precious,
a proven
but
scientific fact.
He can be evil. No, he gets this look, and it's like.
And that's where he doesn't have a soul.
His soul leaves his body.
Yep.
The soul has left the body, and you're just like, all right, exorcism time, because here we go, bro. Me and him have duked it out too, like him in a water bottle.
Me and Tatsu duke it out.
Him in a water. Do water bottle it? Squirt him.
I boop him on his nose.
See, I squirt, and
So
it's
there's
like,
times where we water bottle him, but our water bottle broke.
oh, nuh-uh, you gotta go get a new water
We
bottle.
gotta get a new one.
New water bottle. That's the only thing that like snaps him out of Satanism.
Satanism?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so welcome to my podcast, My Therapy Hat. Just a few things have come up this week that I just wanted to talk about. Nothing really with like a topic from a client, but a topic in our conversations.
Oh, okay.
I wanted, and I sent you some notes yesterday. I don't know if you got them, but
I did. I did not read them, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, well, thank you. I'm glad I put time into that then. Setting the precedents. So I did a little research because I use this. Oh, see, he's at it. I use this term a lot when clients are talking, and so I guess it is a topic about that I've talked about with clients, but it's just come up more in our conversations lately. I use this term, setting the precedents, when talking about clients with their relationships.
Okay.
So it's a verb.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay,
That's good to know.
It's a verb. Just I throw that out there because if you Google the definition of setting the precedents, it's the act of being considered before something else.
Say that again?
It's the act of being considered before something else.
Okay.
It's setting the order of importance.
So setting yourself before something, or setting someone else before yourself.
So like setting, in this situation, in this instance, setting a relationship.
Okay.
So if you set the precedence for
some other person's needs or feelings before yours.
Well, yeah, setting the precedence of, in the way that I took this when I learned about it, because I actually had to learn about it. Someone brought it up to my attention years ago, which is when I started really looking into it and using the term with clients. When we set the precedence for a relationship, we are actually teaching other people how they're to respect or treat that other person. We're setting that expectation. And so,
I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that throughout my life.
Meaning what?
Being able to set someone else's needs before mine. Or setting someone else entirely before me.
Well, but it's not necessarily setting their needs. It's like, okay, so here's an example. So say I'm talking about you. And I think I've done a pretty good in setting the example of how other people are to speak about my children to me. So if I'm talking about you to someone else, they're only going to get like how much I admire you and I appreciate you and how brilliant I think you and your sister are.
Almost every time I meet someone that you're working with, they're like, "Oh my God, Christy's talked so much about you and Mia," or blah blah blah, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
And they're only hearing the good things, what I appreciate about you, what I value about you.
Yeah.
That's me setting that precedent. So when you do meet people and they do say that, they're not like, oh, it's her son, and I've heard too much, and now I have an opinion.
Yeah.
I do not ever allow someone to base their opinion on things I've said about you, about your stepdad, about my friends. That's setting the precedence. And so, like I said, I've taught this with clients is how we speak to other people about our relationships, about the people in our lives, is how other people are going to respond to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so in setting the precedence, like I was saying, in speaking about you and your sister, people only hear the good things. So when you are introduced to people and they say that, or they respond to you in that way, how do you feel?
I mean, it feels good. And there are times where I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And I'm just like, go on with what was going on with my day or what it's. I feel like it's a good, very good first impression. It's like a right before, not even like before they even meet me or anything, they already know of a good idea or how you're setting a good picture, drawing a good picture of this person before they even meet them. And so when I do go to meet someone and they do say, "Oh, your mom has talked so much about you or your sister and blah blah blah," it's already setting up this good first impression for meeting this person. And that's how I feel a lot about it.
And that's my point in doing that. And it's just like with your stepdad. There's not a single person in my life that can say, "Oh, they have an opinion based on him because of something I've said."
Yeah.
And not saying that we're not supposed to share things like, I might get irritated at your sister, say, and I come to you and I'm like, "Oh my God, she just da 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 da." The thing that I've taught, and I hope that I've set the example well enough, is you don't even take that from me.
Yeah.
Because I know that you and I have talked well enough, and sis, if you're listening to this, this is just an example. But you and I have talked enough in our lives, and as you guys have grown up, that there have been a number of times the precedence that has been set has been, you need to go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear this. You need to go talk to her. That's how setting the precedence works.
That's how it should be in any relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter work, professional, or your significant other, or even just friends. Because that's how I feel about a lot of things that go on at work. People will come to me about something, and I'm like, listen, I don't want to say anything because I'm the type of person who I don't like to make assumptions off of the fact that I don't know the entire story. I hate being told a fraction of the story and then being like, okay, give me your opinion. I go, I'm not going to tell you anything because I don't know what's going on. I was like, so either you need to go talk to that person or something else. And so it's the same thing with like me and Sarah. If we have a problem, we try not to talk about it in front of people or do something like that. We talk about it behind closed doors because it's just the two of us. It's something that just involves the two of us. So it should just be the two of us.
Well, and that is you setting the precedence for that relationship.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of setting the precedence. And like I was saying, if I have an issue with your stepdad, I do not air that.
Mm-hmm.
I do not post that. I have that conversation with him directly.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel that I can have that conversation with him directly, then that's on me.
Yeah.
That's not for me to run to you, to run to a friend, to post it on socials and get other people's opinion. Because what happens a lot of the time, we do that. We run to our closest confidant,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get an opinion.
Yeah.
Well, what I've allowed to happen for that relationship, for that person, without them even knowing, I've allowed this other person that I've invited in to now build an opinion.
Yeah.
And that's damaging because what that does is creates negativity. It creates toxicity. It's very damaging to a relationship.
And it's from a person that's not even in the thick of it necessarily between those two people. It's just a third party that's hearing from it.
And they're hearing your side of the story.
And that's what I mean. They're hearing just a fraction of what the bigger picture is. And so they're like, okay, I'll take what he's telling me and I'll run with it and give them the opinion of what I think based off of what they're telling me. And it's creating, what's that one game where you have a long line of people? Telephone. It creates a complicated, more adult version of telephone that could hurt people because it gets passed down through opinions and through changing stories or whatnot rather than just going straight to the source.
Mm-hmm. And what that is, a therapeutic term is triangling.
Yeah.
I'm now triangling that other person into the situation where I should just be going directly to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, again, like as we've talked about, this conversation has come up throughout this week because your stepdad is going to give a speech at your stepsister's wedding. And so he's been talking about communication and, just different things to talk about. And he'll give it. It'll be beautiful. You know how he is. He'll
cry.
You think he'll cry?
Yeah. I think he'll get a little choked up.
I said that too because he's very sensitive, sentimental.
He's a big teddy bear.
He is.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna say it about this because then I won't cry. And yeah,
well, it's like when at his grandma's funeral, he had gone up and said something, and he started crying, and he's like, I told myself I wouldn't. It's gonna be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time in his life that he's marrying one of his daughters.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's gonna cry.
And that's what I said. And I'm like, we could talk about this because we practice communication skills in our relationship. That's one of the things that we've valued the success of our relationship on, and the success of raising you guys as teenagers into adults, is our ability to communicate.
Yeah.
And a big part of it has been setting that precedence. We don't go outside of our relationships. We don't go outside of our communication with one another to gather opinions, to air that laundry, to beat around the bush.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm going to go to this person. I'm going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to do that. I don't do that with him. I don't do that with you. I don't do that with your sister. I think that I took this little bit of information of setting the precedence, and I think that I have done a good job. I just hope that I do a good enough job explaining it.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, putting other people's needs before yours, that's not part of it necessarily. It's how you present that relationship, how you speak of that person.
Yeah.
So I have an example. When years ago, and I think I've shared this with you when we were talking about this over the weekend. Years ago, there was a situation that happened between me and my sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law ran to my mom, and they sat there and talked at their house and, aired everything about me. And when it came to me, she came over and we sat right here and we talked about it, It irritated me. And I never understood why. I never understood at that point. I wasn't as into my education or my therapeutic journey as I am today. And so as I'm sharing this with my therapist, she pointed to this. Because it irritated me because the conversation that was had with my mom should have been had with me. Because what that did was it created more of a divide. It created more of a tension between the sister-in-law and I. And it gave my mom inside information. Now she's an insider.
Yeah.
Now she can have this opinion against me, against this situation, rather than doing exactly what I said, which I was bashed for when I said this, when this whole conversation came to me and, we sat here and we talked about it and, I said, why didn't you shut that down and tell her, I don't want to hear about this. Go talk to Christy.
Yeah.
Well, and I got this whole excuse. The reason I got the excuse, I later thought about it, after learning set the precedence, was because if I sit here and I let you talk about this other person who's not in the room,
yeah,
I get the tea.
Yep.
I get the drama. I get all the
I get information
I
that
get
I
the
could
details.
I can then spread to other people.
I can spread, I can use. I now have some receipts.
Yep.
And that always bothered me because why if you value that other person,
Mm-hmm.
why do you want to know this? Why don't you want to shut that person down? Hey, you know what? This isn't about me. I was nowhere in this situation. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. Go talk to that other person. Now, if I was in that situation, thank God I've never been,
Mm-hmm.
because I will automatically, if someone starts talking and I don't know this person, I don't know the situation, I will stop them and go, you know what? This has nothing to do with me.
I need to get better at doing that.
I do it. Because
Luckily,
I
I'm
don't
a
wanna
forgetful
know.
person.
What?
Luckily, I'm a forgetful person. People will tell me something. I'm like, oh, wow, really? And then the next day I'll wake up and I'll be like, what did I have for breakfast the other day?
I forget details like that too, Mike. It's because I'm not so attached to him anymore.
Yeah.
You know, but I will do that because I've learned this.
Yeah.
If I'm not in that situation, if that has nothing to do with me and you're bringing me, you're a friend, not a client.
Yeah.
If you're a client and you're bringing this, we need to talk about this because I need to teach you this.
Yeah.
I need to teach you to go, or I need to encourage you to go to that other person that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Gain the courage, get the confidence, and go and talk about that. But if I have just somebody out here, you know, in my universe coming, and I will do that. You need to stop and you need to go talk to that person. Zip it. I don't want to hear it. Because I don't want too much information about someone.
Yeah.
Now, if I've built an opinion about you, that's me building my opinion on the experience I've had with you.
Yeah.
And if other people have had that experience with you that I've had, we might have something to talk about. And that might be some gossip, and I might need to get better on that.
Yeah.
But if it's something like this that I know is going to create tension, and I know that my words are going to be the ones that you might use, Christy said, oh, no, ma'am.
No.
No, sir. We are not going to do that.
My thing is I'll forget what I said too. Well, you said this.
I did?
Really? Well, shit.
But that's funny because clients, and I've said to them, when we've created a plan and they, you know, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, you tell this other person.
Yeah.
You tell them your therapist said you need to say this, or you blame it on me.
Yeah. Let me take the blame.
I don't care, because what it is they're actually doing, it gives them confidence to know I can blame it on Christy.
Yeah, I can blame it on someone else.
And I don't know that they ever do that, and maybe they do. I don't know. But in that situation,
Can I start doing
care.
that?
Blaming things on me.
Yeah. Well, my mom said.
No, I don't want that. I don't like that.
That just is everything we just talked about is the complete opposite.
Yeah, you're not my client. It's not confidential. No, we're putting this all out there. But no, I've said that to clients because it kind of gives them a little bit more confidence that, oh, you know, I can blame this on Christy if I need to.
Yeah.
And I tell them your therapist said you needed to have this conversation. Blame it on me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah. And in regards to, like, if you value the relationship of having the conversation, when it comes to, like, something like coworkers, to where you don't really value the relationship, maybe the conversation doesn't ever need to be had.
And that's another thing that I encourage people to think about. There's a problem solving that goes with that. What's the resolution? What's the solution you're looking for?
Because if you just are trying to have a conversation to have the conversation, and you don't see, like, an actual, you know, resolution to it, and that you and the other person might actually like, then what's the point?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And that's how I feel with, like, coworkers of mine, where I'm just like, well, I could have the conversation, but is it really needed, or do I really want to? So I'm like, I'll just shut my mouth most of the time and, you know, go on with my day. So.
And that's a strategy too.
Yeah.
I've encouraged people that if you.
Because you can hear, like, I mean, you can hear things from other people about other things, but it could be up to you on rather if you want to, you address it, or if you want to keep telling the stories that you're hearing.
Or if you want to just shut it down, there's the setting the precedent. I'm just going to shut it down because you know what? This has
doesn't
no
help
bearing
anyone
on anything.
Yeah.
This doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
We're just spreading the shit.
Spreading the shit.
Spreading the shit. We're just lining
You're
it out there.
You're a shit spreader.
You're a shit spreader now. Crops might.
You can
grow
turn
from
around to that person and be
so
like,
might some weeds.
and you're like, let's just stop it. And they're like, why? And I'm like, do you want to be a shit spreader? Say that. There you go.
Looks like we're shedding.
We're shedding sprit.
There we go. Just edited it for you there, Sarah.
You're a shit spreader. That's what you are.
You are. When you take that and you just run with it. But that's, again, if I've given you the ammunition to do that.
Yeah.
Then I've set the precedence that you can just go and talk about this person, this situation, however you want.
Yeah.
It's up to you. But saying that, setting the precedence, there's a little bit more to that. Now, I have another story to tell. So, and I use myself in some examples a lot of the times just so that I can connect or make an analogy. That's what it's called with DBT. So, back in my history, and I think I talked about this a long time ago. Or not a long time ago, a couple episodes ago, maybe.
One or two. This is the third.
Yeah, okay, so not a long time ago. Yesterday. There was a situation when I'm growing up that whenever I brought something that I had achieved or I felt successful in, or there was just a story I wanted to tell.
Yeah, it'd get shut down.
It's all about Christy.
Yeah.
And that set the precedence of how everybody was to view that information coming from me.
Yeah.
Now, whether it was done jokingly or, intentionally, I don't know. I'll never know. Unintentionally. And I don't know. I'll never know. I don't care. But what that did, and that's where I go back, and that's kind of where I learned when I started going back in my memory banks about setting the precedence. That set the precedence, like I said, of how people were going to receive that information or how they were going to view that information. Or it's almost like the impression that I got, and that's why it would shut it down. The impression that I got and that I noticed from people was like, oh, God,
here we go again.
And I was like, well, then I just won't go.
Yeah. We just won't go there.
I just, never mind.
Yep.
But if the precedent has been set, the precedents had been set that, oh, okay, listen, this might be good, you guys. This might be a good story. Hold on.
Let's listen.
Then there would have been less me shutting down.
You would have been more encouraged to.
I would have been. And with my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, that's what I got.
Yeah.
I could walk through the door with just about anything.
And they'd be all ears.
They'd be all ears. And it wasn't like, and this is one of the things I explained to people, it's not like they were like, oh, praise Christy. She was so wonderful. She's such a beautiful storyteller and everything she says is great. That's not what it was.
Yeah.
It was valuing me. It was giving me validation in that what I was going to tell them might be informational, entertaining, whatever.
Something of value to them.
They were going to get something out of it one way or the other. And it could have been the most minor thing, or it could have been the most significant thing. They didn't know until I sat down to tell them, but they made everything that I shared important.
Yeah.
And that was setting the precedence. I knew that going to my grandparents, I would have their ear.
Yeah.
I knew that I wouldn't be shut down. I wouldn't be made fun of. I wouldn't be ignored. And they pretty much set the precedence of how I was to be revered in other people in their lives.
Yeah.
When I came into the room, it was like, oh, our granddaughter's here. And it wasn't like, again.
Shut up. She's here.
And it wasn't like that. It was like they valued me enough that they wanted these other people in their lives to value me.
Mm-hmm.
That was important. That was special to me. And that's where, again, moving forward, as we've talked about setting the precedence and, this going into maybe hopefully I've made an impression that it goes into the speech for the wedding. I don't know.
We'll see.
I want
if he gets through his tears.
If he gets through it, I might just have to take over.
Yeah, you may just have to knock him off the stage and take over.
I got this. My point in bringing that up to him was, as we move into relationships, as we have kids, we are the ones in that relationship to set the precedence for how other people are to treat these people in our lives, how they're to speak to them, how they're to speak about them, how they're to, and it's not to say that like people can't have a negative opinion of you.
Yeah.
But if they have a negative opinion.
Oh, he's a mama's boy. Here she goes again, talking about Micah.
Micah can do no wrong. Well, no, it's
God,
not that
isn't he the most perfect angel there is?
Yes. To other people, and that's what it is. To other people, they are to only hear that from me.
Yeah.
Because I want their impression or their opinion of you to be theirs.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be mine. So if they don't like you because of something you've done, not anything I've said. But they're less likely.
You set me up to knock them down.
I set you up for success there, son.
You set me up so I could knock them down.
One by one.
Knock them dead. I drop in and I call them all cuss words and everything else, and they're like, "Oh my God, Christy!"
And I'm just standing there.
You're sitting there like, "Isn't he the most beautiful?"
Now don't say a negative word about him, because that's my boy. I'm watching you.
That's toxic.
But that's, again, if they have a negative experience of you, they're less likely to come to me and air that because I'm not going to sit around and talk about you to them.
And if you did, I would probably forget it.
I think you get that from me because, like I said, I was going to say this earlier. Clients will go, "Well, yeah, the other day you said," and I'm like, "What did I say?"
When?
I say a lot of stuff, people. I don't know what I say.
Sarah will bring things up like, "Yeah, you said this the other day." And I was like, "Did I?"
Oh.
I was like, "What the hell?"
I always ask clients, "Well, was it good? Did I say something
Was it good advice?
Was I nice?
Was I mean?
Was I good or mean? Like, before you tell me, you need to set this up." "Oh, no, it was good advice." "Okay, go ahead." I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're just about getting close to time. And I hope that was a good enough discussion on setting the precedence of how, when we talk about people in our lives, we really are the ones that set that example.
You set them up on a pedestal.
Set them up on a pedestal, not necessarily,
not too high,
not
but
too
just
down a few rungs.
Just a little bit, so that other people could build that pedestal up higher.
So, the point of setting the precedence is, I don't want my relationship, opinion, thoughts of you to tarnish someone else's experience or experience, thoughts, whatever they gain about you.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to know that if they come to me to talk to me about you, I might be that stop sign that goes, "Whoa, if this is a situation that
involving
I'm not a part
him?
of, you need to go talk to him."
Yeah.
I'm not the person you talk to about that, because I am not going to give you advice against my son.
Yeah.
I'm
or
not
anyone else that you care about.
My husband or my daughter or my friend over here.
Yeah.
If you're not in the room, I'm not going to be talking about you.
Yeah.
That is setting the precedence for that relationship, because then again, and I'm going to wrap it up here. What that does is it makes you in a relationship with me feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole point of setting the precedence. I want you to know, even if you're not in the room, I'm not talking bad about you. I'm not bringing you up. I'm not devaluing you. And then in front of you going, "Oh my God, yeah, you're so great." No, we don't talk about you.
He's just an angel.
Yeah. you are, honey. You're just an angel.
He's just an angel.
He's just so sweet, you guys. But that is setting the precedence. That's what I want people in relationships to understand, is how we talk about others outside of that conversation is how other people that aren't even a part of that conversation they're going to pick up on, a lot of times in this human nature, the negative.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want other people to think of your kids, your spouse, your friends, don't take this advice.
Go and live your own life.
What are you
listening to this episode for?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the point?
You got all the way here, and you're not going to go do that?
So don't take my advice.
Yeah. Don't subscribe.
Don't.
Don't comment.
Don't ever.
Don't like this video.
Nuh-uh. This is not for you. That is so mean.
I know.
Okay, so wrapping it up, you can like, subscribe, listen on YouTube, Spotify. I have a Instagram page, My Therapy Hat, and I post stuff on there sometimes. I'm trying to get better.
She's getting better at it.
I'm getting better. It sat dormant for probably 2 years.
What you do is you promote it and you talk highly of it so that people can knock it down.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. It's
Yeah.
I'm really made of like Teflon.
Yeah, you set the precedence.
I set the precedence
so that people can knock it down.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine.
No, that's fair.
If you want to talk,
Go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
This is my podcast though, and I'm going to talk.
We'll forget about everything you just said.
I'll forget.
Yeah.
Details I've already forgotten. Okay, like and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Finnegan. Oh, buddy. Oh.
See, I told you he wouldn't